So on May 5th, Vivek Ramaswamy won the Ohio Republican Global primary, not by a hair, comfortably, by the way, with President Trump's complete and total endorsement. Bloomberg called it, NBC called it, all of them called it, ABC, the Washington Post called it. The man who less than 2 years ago was a presidential candidate, then briefly a co-leader of the Department of Government Efficiency, now a self-styled anti-DEI crusader on every podcast in America, is now the Republican nominee for governor of Ohio. Now he's actually going to face the Democrat, what's her name, Dr. Amy Acton on November 3rd of this year. And she is a physician, a former state health director, the woman who became Ohio's public face during the early COVID pandemic in 2020. Now, the matchup is set, but the ballot is filled. The map is drawn, and Black Ohio has 6 months to figure out what this race actually means. Now, on the surface, I know a lot of us, when we type inside of the Google machine, we type DEI. Now, some people may not even do the basic research of typing DEI into the Google machine, I call it.
Google it.
But nevertheless, when you look at the Google machine, I did a very, very quick Google search here, and it says diversity, equity, and inclusion. Does that say Black? Does that say any other demographic? And the reason why I have to point that out and to be very lewd about that comment is because automatically on the surface, people think that it's for Black people or it pertains to. No, it's not that at all. Okay. It's a framework designed to foster fair, welcoming environments by ensuring representation and equal opportunity of people of diverse backgrounds, abilities, and identities. It aims to dismantle systematic barriers to create a sense of belonging in education and workplace. And though it faces increasing legal challenges, political opposition, and corporate rollbacks. Why is this important?
Why?
Because automatically most people think, oh, it's minority driven, it's minority based. No, absolutely not. It's the Department of Labor, and again, on a repeater box here, that it benefit mostly white people. Do they mean that they benefit mostly American whites? That is a possibility.
Huh? What?
That is actually a data point as well. But what about white people who came over from Europe? What about white people who came over from South Africa? We have to understand the way that we view things, maybe just one layer and it's 2 or 3 layers deep. It's almost like eating the old school Nutty Buddies, right? You had those different layers of chocolate and peanut butter, but no less you understand what I'm getting at. So now I want you to understand what is sitting on this November ballot, because now that we understand or have a better concept of what DEI is and how it has served majority of non-Black people, but it has helped Black people as well, but not at the same rate and percentage. I digress.
Why?
Now, Ohio is home to roughly 1.6 million Black residents. That is more Black Americans that live in Mississippi, more that live in Alabama, more that live in Louisiana. The Black population of Ohio is concentrated in 7 cities. When you think about it, you're like, yeah, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Columbus, Dayton, Akron, Toledo, and Youngstown.
Okay.
In each of those cities, the Black share of the population between 20 and 53%. Cleveland is 47% Black. Cincinnati is 40% Black. Dayton is 40% Black. These are not small numbers. These are city-defining majorities. In all 7 of those cities, the next governor of Ohio will have direct authority through state appropriation, through the Ohio Department of Education, through the state attorney general's office, through the State Department of Job and Family Services. Over the schools, we're talking about the police oversight, the housing funds, the public health budget, the workforce training dollars, and the voting machines. The governor of Ohio is not a ceremonial figure. The governor of Ohio decides what the state spends, what the state cuts, what the state investigate, and what the state defends in court. So let me tell you what Vivek Ramaswamy has said on record, that is, in his own published words and his own podcast appearances about the issues most relevant to Black Ohio, whether it be on DEI. Ramaswamy ran for president on a platform of ending what he called the racial spoils system. He has explicitly proposed dissolving the Federal Department of Education, what Trump is basically already doing. He has explicitly proposed eliminating affirmative action in any form across both public and private institutions, which really doesn't pertain to the Black community, but it does pertain to a lot of immigrants, especially DEI as well. But mostly, according to the government records, it has been non-Black people receiving a lot of the benefits, a lot of the promotions, a lot of the incentives that DEI and affirmative action actually offer.
I mean, my God.
Okay, these are some of the things he's done. He's also explicitly proposed restricting public university funding for any institution that maintains a DEI office. He's a walk-in replica of President Trump. Okay.
Very distracting.
As a governor of Ohio, he would have direct power to cut DEI offices at every state-funded institution. Ohio State, Ohio University, Cincinnati, Cleveland State, Akron, Wright State, Central State, Bowling Green, Kent State, Miami of Ohio. Most importantly, Central State, Ohio's only public historical Black college, receive Ohio State funding. Now, we have to understand that President Trump has eradicated DEI from a federal level. But a lot of the states, in some regards, still have remnants, residue offices, even in corporate offices, have a DEI office. By having Vivek to win the governorship of Ohio, you can totally wipe that away because this is about power.
Lordy, that would be really bad.
See, some people think, well, the Republicans are racist. Well, they're just as racist as the power that you will give them, the power that maintains them. What am I meaning? If you are a non-white person and you think that a Republican Party is racist, then it's not about someone agreeing with you. It's about what is most important to them. Racism, hatred of non-white people, or power. See, I would have that debate that power is more important to any racist person than their hatred. So if Vivek Ramaswamy is a useful tool for the system of white supremacy, they will allow him those positions. They will allow him those benefits. So we have to understand the dynamics of power.
Hypocrisy, my friend.
Like reading the 48 Laws of Power may help you. See, Ramaswamy has been clear on multiple platforms that he favors expanded protections for law enforcement officers under qualified immunity, opposed federal consent decrees, and he has criticized the Justice Department policy pattern of practice investigations. The cities most affected by federal police consent decrees in Ohio are Cleveland, where the Cleveland Division of Police have been under federal monitoring since 2015, and to a lesser degree, Cincinnati. The next governor of Ohio shapes how the state attorney general's office respond to local police accountability efforts and how the state legislators respond to civilian review board legislation. See, we covered the DOJ pulling out of the consent decrees on this channel just the other week. The Ohio race tells you which states are about to fill that vacuum and which are not. On voting, Ohio holds gubernatorial authority over the appointment of the Secretary of State, who actually oversees the election, voter rolls, polling places allocations, and absentee ballot access. The current Ohio Secretary of State is a Republican. Under a Republican governor working with a Republican Secretary of State and a Republican-controlled state legislator, Ohio in the post-college legal environment becomes one of the most aggressive testing grounds in the country for voter roll purges, polling places consolidation, and ID law expansion. We covered Alabama. Now, Ohio is the same playbook moving north. The state of Ohio is currently appealing federal court orders related to its 2020 voter purge program. The next governor inherits that appeal. Now, on economics, Ohio is currently in the middle of manufacturing transition tied to the federal infrastructure law and the CHIPS Act funding from 21 to 2024. Now, Intel's $20 billion Columbus semiconductor facility, the Ford SK on the battery plant in Sebring, the Honda EV expansion in Maryville. Those are the pieces of Ohio that promise the next decades of working class job growth.
That's what she said.
A Republican governor working in alignment with the Trump administration could redirect the state level matching funds, workforce training programs, and tax abatement structure that sit underneath those projects. See, the training pipelines for those plants, community college partnerships, apprenticeship grants, transportation subsidies disproportionately target the Black workforce in Cleveland, Toledo, and Dayton, because those are the cities with the highest Black unemployment rates in the state.
Hell no!
A Ramaswamy administration that pulls those subsidies for ideological reason hits Black Ohio first. But hear me on this, because I know a lot of people talking about Big D Black Bag. Well, what about this and what about the other people? Listen, because I'm not on this stream trying to write Ramaswamy's victory speech, because he already particularly won the primary for the GOP. I'm on this telling you guys how things are going to potentially move. The race is competitive because Dr. Amy Acton is not a token Democrat nominee. She's raised over $20 million in this primary cycle. She has a real ground game in certain counties like Hamilton, Franklin, Montgomery, Lucas, Summit County. Those are the 6 counties where the Ohio governor's race is decided. And those are the 6 counties with the highest Black voter density in the state.
Oh, that's interesting.
And listen to this, because Ohio has not elected a Democratic governor in 20 years. It elected Sherrod Brown to the Senate yesterday for the second time. Ohio is purple in primaries and red in generals, only because Black turnout collapses in the off-year general elections. I wonder if Black people in Ohio are going to vote now. I don't know. And here's the thing. It's not going out to vote for Dr. Amy Acton. It's not going out to vote for Vivek Ramaswamy. It's voting on what's best for you and your family and the overall community. That is why I implore you not to associate, not to hang on the coattails of these political parties in voting your best interest, not because they showed up at the Black church, not because they came to the cookout and hand out a couple of dollars or some fish sandwiches. Not because of that. Because those policies and legislations are going to benefit you and your family. Because the math on November 3rd is quite simple. If Black turnout in Cleveland, Cincinnati, Columbus, Dayton, Akron, Toledo, and Youngstown matches presidential year levels, which there's done exactly twice in the last 20 years, Acton wins. If it fails to back off levels, Ramaswamy wins. It's very similar. If we look at the presidential election when President Trump won over Kamala Harris, when Black people took a seat, the Republicans win. When Black people get out the vote, the Democrats win. Now, a lot of you say, well, I never want a Republican presidency again. Just because we don't like the way President Trump is running the country does not mean there's not another Republican that will run the country better.
Goddamn right.
In the interest of the people and not the interest of themselves or their billion-dollar friends. But I digress. You see what I'm saying? Because I want to always look at things very neutrally. Not that I attain and hang on the coattails of the conservatives. Not that I abstain and hang on the coattails of the Democrats. Absolutely not. See, you will have these political pundits, these media pundits, have you to go back and forth of what party is the worst and what party did the most and what party is this.
You seen one, you seen them all.
This is why we have to read. Even on my own website, ourvoicevote.org, if I have to put up these legislations for different states as well as the presidency, I will. And I promise you guys, you will not be reading all these long manifestos of what they're going to do when they get in the country, all their proposed legislations. I'm going to have the bill number, the legislation number, and I'm going to write probably in a 1 or 2 sentence of what it actually is.
He's a genius.
So there is no excuse of you not reading. Well, I don't have time and I have kids and this is going on. No, because this is not about a Black or white or Asian or any else thing. This is about what benefits you, your family, and your community the most. So here's the work. First and foremost, if you live in any state, especially Ohio, you check your voter registration tonight, right now. Ohio Purge voter rolls in 24 and again in 25 under the previous administration election integrity orders, because verify your registration at the Ohio State Secretary's portal. And if you have family in Ohio, you call them tonight and tell them what just happened on Tuesday, because most Black Americans in Ohio still don't know who Vivek Ramaswamy is.
Is he crazy?
Most Black Americans in Ohio will not focus on this race until October. October is too late, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, it's too late now.
The voter registration deadline is 60 days from now. The early vote period starts in October. You front load this conversation. If you are organizing in Ohio, you fund local, not the DNC. Okay, you fund local, not the DNC, not the state party, not the Actors National Fundraising Apparatus, not Vivek Ramaswamy's National Fundraising Apparatus, not the GOP. You fund the on-ground organizing groups in the 7 major Black impacted cities. Cleveland votes, the Cincinnati Black Agenda, Columbia Stands Up, the Toledo NAACP, if they're relevant, especially, the NAACP. You know how I feel about that group nationwide. They may have some good pockets in some good states, but overall, they're a do-nothing organization that we've seen. They really haven't done nothing since MLK was assassinated. I digress. We can argue and debate about that all day. But nevertheless, those are the organizations that move turnout in the buildings where the votes actually live. We do not perform outrage on Blacklogic. And again, we diagnose and examine power. And the diagnosis on Ohio is plain. The country just handed a Trump-aligned anti-DEI crusader the keys to a state with 1.6 million Black residents, 3 federal consent decrees monitor police departments, 1 public HBCU, and $20 billion in semiconductor and EV manufacturing investment hanging on state-level cooperation. The November 3rd ballot decides whether the machine runs against Black Ohio or with it. See, the race is not a referendum. The race is a test, and Black Ohio just got 6 months on the clock. We do not grieve. We register, we organize, we fund local, we mobilize the 7 cities, and we remember every globinator cycle this country sits out is a generation-long state-level realignment we cannot unvote.
The fresh new enthusiasm, a new verve, a new energy in America. We can all see it. We can feel it, actually. I'm now more optimistic than I have ever been for the future of our country. I am honored to announce my candidacy to serve as the next governor of the state of Ohio. I will lead Ohio to be the top state in the country to raise a young family. I'll lead Ohio to be the top state in the country where our kids get a world-class education in math, reading, writing, critical thinking, and physical education. I will lead Ohio to be the top state in the country where we give our kids the toolkit to think of themselves not as victims, but as victors in it. I will lead Ohio to be the top state in the country where patriots across America actually flock to instead of Florida and Texas. I will lead Ohio to be the state of excellence in America.